The Shins and Boots Football Show. I like to call this one the hashtag outside.
Roadshow edition.
Outside.
Outside?
Roadshow.
Might be inside and outside.
That's true too.
So how it can be outside edition?
Anyway, we are called the Two Mugs. I'm Kevin, this is George. Every Sunday you will see us on IG in our bedroom talking to each other. He be sticking something on a cup. I don't know what it is. And then
You're
we just
supposed to know what it is.
I love it.
And then, see, merchandise. The
George Van Pans.
The George Van Pans. There's a story behind that. We won't get into that right now.
Story.
Big story. Anyhow, our special guest, of course, for the fans, by the fans. See it there?
That's right.
This is the only show that can boss that. Everybody else is so, then it bare lies. Anyhow, our special guest, sitting right beside us, a very talented individual, founding member of the comedy team, Rum and Coke. I'm going to ask you a question about Rum and Coke. Not the drink, the comedy team. He's been on local stage for over 20 years, appeared in a number of local presentations, such as Laugh It Off, which is very well known to Barbados, and the University of the West Indies National Heroes Plays. He loves producing comedy events, handles the promotion of Di Brown's Wednesday comedy nights at Jamestown Bar, and produces Cocktails and Comedy, which we just finished here actually.
All right.
Right. And Infinity Hotel, which is actually here.
Good show it was.
Good show it was too.
Mm-hmm.
I think drinks.
Yeah, cocktails, huh? And the drinks.
Right. The Cinnamon Football Show, hashtag Roadshow Edition. So you get it right?
Right.
Good. Welcomes Mr. Simon Alleyne. Simon, big thank you for, taking time out. Now the magical question I ask everyone, especially in the stage events, give us a little more insight into Cocktails and Comedy.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to thank Shins and Boots and the Two Mugs for having me here. It's wonderful that we have so many talented individuals in Barbados doing and producing media for the world to see. And the fact that your TV show is actually online and so on, you have a wide demographic, people across the world, and you have a very topical issue, football. Who doesn't like football, or as the Americans call it, or North Americans call it, soccer. Right, so a bit about Cocktails and Comedy. Well, before you even segue into Cocktails and Comedy, I gotta talk about Rum and Coke.
Who's Rum and who's Coke?
Wait, so Rum is Crispin Hackett, that's the brown skin guy. I am Coke for the obvious reason, because I'm darker and sweeter and bubblier. So I am the Coke as the chaser, the mixer. The name Rum and Coke came from the whole point that we wanted to have a comedy name that was universal. Mm-hmm. So you go any part of the world, any bar in the world, and you say that you want a Rum and Coke or a Coke and rum, they can mix it. It's universal. It's a universal drink. So for us, we wanted to have a comedy brand or name that was universal. So that's why we chose Rum and Coke. And now we segue into Cocktails and Comedy. I recognize here since COVID, since the lockdown, we needed to have a platform or a stage for a lot of aspiring comedians. Now, what Rum and Coke does is more skits-based comedy. So we need a stage, we need lighting, we need sound effects, a lot of more technical requirements. But all stand-up comedians need is a mic and a stage. That's a mic and a stage. And a little lighting, nothing major. So I recognize that there are a number of young aspiring comedians like Biko, Sunrock, Jason. We even have aspiring comedians who are from overseas, like Melinda Hughes, who's from the UK, who performed tonight. So people need a platform, an opportunity to show their talent, and of course to develop their skills. And as they say, iron sharpens iron. Mm-hmm. So Cocktails and Comedy, we are fortunate here to be at Infinity on the Beach Hotel. We do believe that this is the start of big things for us, and we look forward to 2021.
Now, I have been looking through a number of the episodes, and there are two that are my favorite.
All right.
There's one, I think, called the Rum and Coke News.
Rum and Coke News, yes.
All right. And there's a recent one, I think, called the COVID-19 security guard?
Yes, COVID-19 security guard.
Tell us something about the two of those.
Oh, Lord. Well, I want to say that you've done your homework. We had done Rum and Coke News, so let's do a parody of news, what's going on around the world. So we would take some news stories and, of course, satirize it, make it funnier, make it fictional and that's funny. So we did the Rum and Coke News. We went, a friend of ours, Marnico Media, they do the whole videography and so on, and they had a little backdrop, green screen, and the rest is history. Now, the COVID-19 security guard is very funny because that is very practical to the time period we're living in now. A lot of people were saying, man, since the whole COVID-19 protocols, it seems that it's emboldened a lot of security guards. So you're a security guard, but let's say hi, good evening, or whatever, and you enter the facility. They sense they have the temperature gun and a spray bottle with alcohol or some alcohol-like substance. It seems to like give them this whole John Wayne mentality. You know, it's like you say you get him out the keys now. He got the keys. He really crazy. So it was a parody of that, and people really loved the video because they have had experiences where they ran into security guards, whether at supermarkets, whether at Sheraton or different malls, and you know the guards can be a little bossy. So we tried to capture that on the screen.
One more question before I give it back to Kevin again. Mm-hmm. Why did you choose the particular character in the Rum and Coke News?
Well, the name of the character is Dick Hungwell, right? We just played on some names. You got me laughing. So this is the first time ever that I am at the receiving end of jokes and laughing. Very good question. So Dick Hungwell, we just played around with some words, and the name says it all. Sorry, we just had some fun with it, and you know the audience liked it, and I like it, so it kind of stopped. Let's leave it there.
Okay. Well, sorry. All right. On a serious note, though, Simon, do you think that arts are given enough respect in Barbados? Like what you do, for example.
I think what is happening now is that we as artists, we as the thinkers, the new generation of thinkers, people that have ideas, what we are forced to do is to create our own spaces. And yes, I would thank the NCF, the National Cultural Foundation, and the Ministry of Culture, and the Minister and the Minister of Culture, John King, for all the work that they're doing. But some may argue that most of the work goes towards musicians. But you know, music is a lot more organized. The music industry is a lot more formalized than the comedic industry. So that's probably why they get all the concessions, because we have a number of shows and yearly competitions. You have singing competitions, whether it's Richard Stout Teen Talent, Pick of the Crop Finals, Party Monarch. So there are platforms already established for singers and calypsonians and so on. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to comedy now, we are trying now to be the burgeoning market. We're trying now to emerge and do our own thing. What is important, what I recognize is that you need to have partnerships with local bars or local hotels so that you can get your product out there or to offer a product to people. And the fact that so many people came out tonight and they enjoyed the comedy set means that people are looking for something different, because most hotels would offer music. So most hotels or bars would have a resident musician who will come on a Wednesday or a Thursday, play an instrument, play steel pan, but people want more than that now. So when you have music now, you have now comedy. And I find that since we would have introduced cocktails and comedy, we also got Di Brown every other Wednesday at Jamestown Bar. He has his own following and he brings his own style of comedy. We are seeing now that because of partnerships and networking, that comedy is becoming a lot more marketable.
One more question for you. Have you started to spread your wings overseas?
Well, yes, that's a very good question. With Rum and Coke. Sadly, because of COVID, we have been grounded in Barbados since March. But what was funny is that up to January, early this year, we had traveled, we had performed overseas. So one of the things that Rum and Coke does, we've been able to form some networks. We've performed in Miami, Toronto a number of times for like Barbados on the Water and other shows. So there is an appetite for comedy internationally and regionally. We've done a lot of regional shows. We performed in Trinidad at least 3 to 4 times. We've performed in St. Martin. We've performed as well as in Grenada. So there's been a number of comedy shows, regional comedy shows, Caribbean Kings of Comedy or Caribbean Comedy Festival and so on. We performed that regionally. I think that for us, with Rum and Coke, dealing with Rum and Coke, we've used social media. We've been able to leverage social media, Instagram and Facebook, to get the viral videos out there so that when booking agency, they say, okay, we like these 2 guys, they seem to have a good energy. We want to book them. And then we go and we perform in those countries. I'm trying to do the same with cocktails and comedy because it's quite easy to move 3 male comedians or a male and 2 females, whatever, overseas to perform and get things done. one of the things we have to look into, although we can't go overseas now, as people say, if Muhammad can't get to the mountain, bring the mountain to Muhammad. What we may have to look into is doing virtual comedy shows where we will live stream it. And that's ask people to pay a small amount of money, whether it's $1 US, $2 US, $5 US, or $5 Canadian, to see us perform on live.
One thing I noticed, we have a lot of young male comedians, but
Yes.
do we have female comedians?
We have female comedians, but I find that for some, there's a lot of pressure on women. When we look at society and we look at the standards, sometimes the standards that people set for men are not the same that they set for women. When it comes to entertainment, for example. So if you look across the world and you look at the top North American comedians, you have Dave Chappelle, you got Cat Williams, you got Chris Rock, and you got Eddie Murphy to some degree and some others. You don't have any female comedians. You had Tiffany Haddish, but you don't really have any female comedians. Here now in Barbados, what we are trying to do is to provide a platform for any female comedian. And the thing about it is that by being here on the show, I just want to put a note out there for the female comedians. You don't need a long set. You don't have to do an hour on stage. You start with a 10-minute set. You start with a 5-minute set. And then 5 minutes become 10 and 10 becomes 20. You don't need to be on stage for a long period of time. You just need to have a real funny 10-minute set, and we're going to give you the opportunity to perform on stage. So any female comedians watching Shins and Boots, please, contact me, Simon Alleyne, contact Cocktails and Comedy on IG or Rum and Coke. We get you on stage.
Now, sports-wise, are you into football?
A bit, yes. Not as much as you.
Okay. What's your favorite team?
Chelsea. I'm a Chelsea man. The blue. I like the blue. Chelsea.
Why Chelsea?
I think I fell in love with the diversity of the Chelsea team. You had Drogba. Drogba, for me, made football magical when I saw him. And at one point, they were saying that Chelsea had like a $1 billion team. They had a lot of money. They had so many top players, and they were at one point champions. But things have changed a lot since then.
A guy would say, well, I can call it now. One guy said that when he looked, he see the flag in the background. But I used to tell people, as a football fan first and a supporter after, no, how do you see what you do? How do you see it progressing in the post-COVID era?
Mm-hmm. I think with regards to Cocktails and Comedy and Rum and Coke, we have to go digital. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that we've neglected. We have to find a way to leverage our numbers by having an online platform where people can pay to see us. Because that's the only way we can get some revenue, where we can't do the big shows like before. So what we may need to do is to have probably a Zoom concert, a Zoom comedy show, or provide a platform where people can they have the passcode to get in, they pay the $5 US, whatever, and they're able to watch us, and we do a show. Mm-hmm. I would love to do it with Cocktails and Comedy because you have diverse comedians, so people will not get bored. So I think that's important. I think too that the linkages with other people online, I think that's what we need to do. Like, if you do a virtual comedy show, we in Barbados could be doing comedy, our Jamaican counterparts could be doing their comedy, all on the same platform. The Trinidadian, we've performed with all of them. We've been on stage with Oliver Samuels, we've been on stage with Larry Joseph, we've been on stage with the guys, man.
Those are heavy guys.
Heavy guys. And we've held our own and do what we have to do. And there's a young comedian called Johnny coming out of Jamaica. He's quite good. So, and even IT and Fancy Cat from Jamaica, they're good guys, so we perform with them. Chow Paul from Guyana. So we know it's just to have a framework, a platform where they can do their comedy set, and we have a regional comedy show that people can subscribe to online.
All right, Simon, of course, thank you for taking time out to be with us, and I will just pull a little plug for the show. You can find the show on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Mm-hmm. And of course, you can find us too on TikTok. Our Twitter handle is Shinsandboots246.
All right.
So, with that, as we would say,
George Bain,
Kevin, and we
are
out of here.
All right.